In this video, I'm going to be talking about one of the biggest bottlenecks when it comes to AI agents, and it actually has nothing to do with the model you're using. It's not even the prompt, it's the fact that most software on Earth was built for a human clicking buttons, not an actual agent trying to do actual work. You're seeing this whole paradigm shift happening in the workspace right now. So, if you think about it, the internet was built for people like you and me to go and build workflows, and it was not built for AI agents doing the work autonomously. You're seeing that shift right now. And once I saw this repo, I have it linked down below, it's crazy. Because if you're trying to build actual real workflows, specifically with OpenClaw or Claude Code or Codex, regardless whatever you're using, you eventually hit the same wall. The agent is smart enough to reason through things. It's smart enough to plan things. It's even smart enough to understand what you want. But then it runs into some app with no clean interface, like no structured command layer. And now you're back to babysitting and micromanaging things. We don't want that. Now you're back to screenshots, back to weird manual workarounds, back to doing half the job yourself. That's not what we're building AI agent workflows for. And that is exactly why CLI-Anything matters. That's what the repo is called. This repo is built around a very simple but powerful idea. Tomorrow's users are not just humans. Tomorrow's users are agents. So if software is going to be useful in this next wave, it needs to become agent native. It needs a clean way for an AI to actually operate it. And what CLI-Anything is trying to do is bridge that gap. It's basically saying, give me a software repo or a local application, and I'll help generate a real CLI around it so its agents can use it through structured commands instead of trying to fumble through a GUI like someone wearing oven mitts. We don't want that. That's a pretty big deal because a lot of people still think the future of agents is just better chatting. I don't. I think the future is tool access with clean rails. Plain and simple, if your agent can only talk, it's just a smart intern. If it can reliably operate software, now you actually have an employee. And I already know I've been learning all of this in public, documenting the journey. We've been making 3, 4, 5 videos a day talking about my AI setup, what I'm building, what I'm looking to build. I came into this as somebody who did not come from a programming background. And I don't think nowadays anybody should. You could build a 6-figure business now relatively easily with no coding, no software development, no nothing. I specifically had no idea what half this stuff meant this time last year when I first started building. So when I see a project that takes something really complex and turns it into a more predictable system, I pay attention. I try to highlight it for you because that's really the difference between cool demos and actual workflows that help people like you and I make money. So I want to break down what this repo actually does because I've given you the ballpark view, but what does it actually do? According to the project, the flow is basically one command. You point it at a software and then it goes through the full pipeline. It analyzes the app, it maps actions, it designs command groups, it basically builds the CLI. It plans tests, it writes the tests, it documents the thing, then it packages it so the agent can actually use it. Real quick, before we keep going, if you're watching this and you want to actually build with some of these tools, not just watch videos about them, then you're going to want to check out our community down below, Shipping Skool. We have a full Claude Code course, a full OpenClaw course, and 4 live boot camps every single week where we actually help you get set up from scratch. Like actually set this thing up, not just watch a tutorial and figure it out by yourself. And we also provide one-on-one coaching, so you could book a call with me, we could share screens, and I can help you get Claude Code or OpenClaw running on your machine. That's it, no fluff. I built this community because watching YouTube's only gets you so far. We launched it just 3 days ago and we have over 55 members. You need people around you who are actually building, people who hold you accountable, and coaches who can help you when you get stuck. I'll put the link in the description down below. Get in now before the price goes up. That is not a toy script. That is basically saying, hey, instead of waiting for every software company on earth to wake up and build an AI agent interface, let's create the bridge ourselves. I like that. And I think that's why it matters so much for the OpenClaw world. OpenClaw is the strongest when it has clear tools. That's when it starts feeling like an operator instead of a chatbot. When it can run a command, inspect an output, decide what to do next, and keep moving. The problem is the real world is messy. Businesses use software that was never designed for this. Photo editors, desktop apps, basically the weirdest internal tools, old systems, niche platforms, all kinds of stuff. So now imagine you can convert more of those tools into something that's more AI agent friendly. The biggest paradigm shift we're seeing right now is this. Your AI agent is only as good as the software has access to that's more AI agent friendly. If the software it's accessing isn't built for AI agents, you're going to have to use something like this repo. The repo also talks a lot about why CLI is the universal interface for agents. I agree with that. A CLI is structured. It is a composable and easy to chain together. It works well with text-based reasoning. It can return JSON, which is the native computer language. It can be tested. It can be much easier for an agent to use reliably than trying to click around a random interface and hope nothing moves. That right there is one of the biggest lessons I've learned with building with AI. People want to skip the boring structure and jump straight into the magic, and I get it. I've been there. But the boring structure is the magic. The rails are what make it work. The reason my own workflows started getting better and better was not because I found some mystical prompt from the heavens. Boy, that would be cool though. It was because we started tightening the environment, better memory, better rules, better tools, and then better handoffs to each agent. It's the same thing here. CLI-Anything seems to understand that really well. And the examples they are giving are not some small little example either. They're good, big examples. They mention turning all kinds of software into agent-ready CLIs. GIMP, Blender, LibreOffice, Zoom, MuseScore, FreeCAD, Zotero, browser tools, all kinds of stuff. So this is not just a coding repo for developers building developer tools. This is actually pointing at something much bigger. Any software category where humans are still clicking through repetitive steps is now in play. If you think about that, that's crazy. That's why I did a video just an hour ago talking about how a guy basically built his own local CLI. Goodbye, Go High Level. Goodbye, ClickUp. If you could build out the software for yourself and your agent can autonomously use it, why are we paying for these softwares again? So basically, if the agent can reliably interact with design software or office tools, browsers, file systems, schedulers, meeting tools, or even old internal apps, then the surface area of what your AI can do gets way bigger, and that happens overnight. That's why I think a lot of people are underestimating this repo. They'll see a technical project and think, oh, whatever. Okay, yeah, cool. Another GitHub build. But I think the business angle is the real point of the story here. Because most companies are not sitting around saying, I wish I had more AI demos. We've seen those. They're cool, but did they actually work? They're saying, I wish my team wasn't stuck doing the same repetitive stuff inside software all day. That's what they want fixed. They want the thing that saves the labor costs, helps the bottom line. They want the thing that removes the friction. They want the thing that makes old software usable in a new way with your AI agent. And if you could do that, you don't need to build the next billion-dollar model company. You can build workflow leverage on top of the software that already exists. That's much more of a realistic opportunity right now. I'm going to make this practical so you can actually use something from this video if you're thinking about building something this. Let's just say you have a business with some ugly internal desktop, like an app that no one likes using. I could think of many. Or you've got a media workflow that lives across a couple different tools. Or you've got a team that keeps touching the same buttons every single day in the same software. If you can expose the useful parts of the software through a clean command, now your agent can help run it. Now it can trigger the actions, it can trigger the chain steps, it can inspect the results, and it can recover when something fails. Now it can actually do real work while you sleep. That's the whole point of AI agents. That's the part that should get builders excited, because the repo is really not just about CLIs, it's about translation. It's about taking software built for humans and translating it into a form that AI agents can actually use. That is one of the biggest businesses categories right now, and everything is becoming agent facing, like websites, APIs, skills, workflows, basically a lot of software interfaces nowadays. The companies and builders who make that transition clean are going to have a serious edge. Like if you're a company launching a software right now and you don't have API access, what is wrong with you? Like, come on, that's like forbidden now. Come on. Now, I also like this repo because it's not pretending the job stops at generating commands. It includes testing, it includes docs, it includes skill generation. It also includes a hub for discovery. That matters because an interface is only useful if people can trust it and agents can discover it. Like the skill markdown generation piece especially stood out to me because that is how a lot of these agent ecosystems actually become usable at scale. It's not enough to technically make a tool possible. The agent needs to understand when to use it and how to use it and what the constraints are. That is the key to all this. Otherwise, you just created another pile of functionality nobody uses well. And I think this is where a lot of builders still get tripped up. They think compatibility is the product. It really isn't. Usability is the product. How many times have you been using OpenClaw and you plugged in your compatible models and your compatible skills, but things break? And that frustrates you because it can be unusable at times. And that's the whole point, is we're actually building these things to be reliable and usable. That's why I have yet to upgrade my OpenClaw, because it's usable and it's reliable. And every time I seem to update, something tends to break. I'm sure you can resonate with that. So if your AI can theoretically do 20 things, but practically does 2 of them well, then you built a 2-feature product wearing 20-feature costume. That's a lot of bloat. So the fact this repo is thinking in terms of generation plus documentation, plus testing, and then plus registry, I like that. That's something I can stand behind. Is this magic? I don't think so. Let's keep it real. There are some real limitations. Not every piece of software is going to map cleanly. Some apps are messy, some have weird state, some need manual setup, and some have edge cases everywhere. Generated tooling still needs review. I don't want you hearing this video and thinking you should go hand your agent the keys to every app on your machine and then go take a nap. The nap part sounds good though. Don't do that. Review the commands, test the flows, start small, and the same rules as always. The third thing is security matters a lot more the moment you increase tool reach. The more software your agent can touch, the more important permissions, logs, guardrails, and isolation become. Like I said, this is why I structure, and that's why it matters so much. If you're struggling to keep up with content, well, I'm about to save you about 40 days worth of work. I built something called Content Machine. It's 10 AI agents that run on the OpenClaw orchestration, and they handle everything: scripts, thumbnails, X posts, blogs, outreach, clips, newsletters, all of it. So I went from 1,000 subscribers to 4,000 subscribers on YouTube in 7 days using this exact system. Every single morning I wake up and the content's already done. I spend maybe 15-20 minutes reviewing and approving them, and I move on with my day. It works for any niche: fitness, finance, real estate, marketing, whatever you are building, and it is 100% completely customizable to your use case. So you get the mission control dashboard, all of the cron jobs, everything I've built over the last 40 days, helping me gain more and more people to subscribe and join the community. So you plug in your own thing and it molds it to you, it learns how you talk, and it writes so it doesn't sound like AI slop. $97 one time, it's not a subscription. I'll put the link down below and you'll thank me later. The fourth thing is this is still one of those areas where the best builders are going to be the ones who combine technical understanding with actual business taste. Just because you can make something that is agent native doesn't mean it's worth making it agent native. The question is still the same, and that's what I keep coming back to. Does this remove a bottleneck in one way or another? Like, does this save time? Does this make any money? Does this unlock something people already want? If yes, now we're talking. And for me, that's what makes this repo more exciting, is it points toward a future where agents are not trapped inside a couple approved tools. They can actually reach more of the software stack around the business. And that's a huge shift, because right now a lot of people are still building in these little sandboxes. It looks all impressive on paper and on X and on social media, and it looks impressive in a demo, but in real life, the work is still stuck in old apps and old workflows, design tools and spreadsheets and scheduling tools and custom software and desktop software, internal operations. And that's where the labor is hiding. If you can bridge that world, now AI stops being content and starts being infrastructure. And I really think that's where things are headed. The other reason I like this so much is because it gives regular builders like you and I another path to build. Maybe you're not the person that's training models. Maybe you're not building the next foundation lab. Fine, that's fine. That's okay. You could still win by turning existing software into something agents can use better. You can do it for your own business. You can do it for clients. You can do it inside an agency. You can do it for a niche nobody else wants to touch. That is where a lot of the money is going to be made. And if you're watching this thinking, Beau, what does this even mean for me right now? I'm lost. Here's the simple version. I understand. I get it. It basically just means the software you already use may not need to be replaced. It may just need to be better at the interface for agents. That is a much cheaper and faster insight than rebuilding everything from scratch. And if you are deep in OpenClaw already, this should be absolutely on your radar and it should be crystal clear. Because the more tools you can expose cleanly, the more powerful your workflows become. Not because the model got smarter overnight, but because the environment got better. And that's it. That's the sauce for the sauce on the sauce. And we're always talking about sauce, right? That's why I make these videos. I want to keep you up to date with repos dropping, OpenClaw use cases, Claude Code builds. Because for people like you and I, we have ideas, but we just don't know how to make them come to pass. So take this repo, formulate an idea, give it to your OpenClaw agent, and see what it builds. I think the takeaway here is really simple. CLI-Anything is just not another repo. It is a preview of where software is going. Human-first interfaces are not enough. They're failing us right now. The builders who create clean command layers, clean skill layers, clean agent rails are going to make the old software useful in a whole new way. And I think we're still really early. Don't think you're late at all. If you want help figuring out like what workflows in your business are actually worth turning into agent systems, come join us in the community. We just hit 219 members and I launched that community 26 days ago. We have people building real estate software. We have people building AI agents for fitness. We have people building AI agents for finance. We have people building trading bots that manage trades inside of Discord. We have all types of builders in there. And we do 9 live calls a week. And the goal is for you to come into one of these calls, get your question answered, get some clarity on your project, and take the next step in your AI journey. I'll put the link to it down below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, I release about 4 to 6 videos just like this every single day. Hit the notification bell if you want to stay updated with all things regarding AI. We'll see you in the next video. Have a blessed day.